Hi, in this video we're going to think about pronunciation, and specifically pronunciation and how it's scored in the IELTS speaking test. We want to think about what are the important parts of your pronunciation that you need to work on to improve your score. Remember, pronunciation is actually a quarter of your score in the IELTS speaking test. The examiner evaluates 4 parts of your speaking. And to put it simply, it's basically your fluency, grammar, vocabulary, and finally your pronunciation. And your pronunciation is just as important as those 3 other things. So you need to work on your pronunciation and improve your pronunciation if you want to get a high score in the IELTS speaking test. Now, there are different areas of your pronunciation that the examiner is listening for. And I want to explain the different things that they are trying to hear so that you can work on these things and improve them. One thing I want to say is to remind you that accent is not so important. Don't think that you have to go into the IELTS exam and you've got to have a perfect British or American accent to get a high pronunciation score. You don't. The accent really doesn't matter. You can have an accent from your native language and it won't really affect your score as long as it doesn't affect the examiner's understanding of your speech. So, now we've got that out of the way, let's have a think about exactly what the examiner is listening for. Now, I want to start with the simple things and gradually move up to maybe the more complex things that are a bit more confusing. So, really, the examiner is listening for 4 key things when he's listening to you speaking English. The first thing is the basic sounds of English. That you can produce these sounds, these simple individual sounds in English, and it doesn't confuse the examiner. Now, I'm not sure if you know this already, but we have the phonetic alphabet in English, which shows the different sounds of English. There's actually 44 separate sounds. You really need to work on your pronunciation of these individual sounds so you can speak clearly in English. Maybe I could demonstrate a couple of key sounds that sometimes non-native speakers find a bit difficult. For instance, a word like thin with the TH sound here. Thin. Now, some people have problems producing that kind of sound and get it mixed up with a word like tin with a T sound. Thin and tin. So this kind of thing you need to practice and make sure that you can produce the specific sounds. Or maybe another example would be a word like right with a R sound and the word light with a L sound. Some people get confused between these different sounds, right and light. Here it's all about the shape of your mouth and what's happening inside your mouth as well with your tongue. Really here, you're just trying to imitate or copy native speakers, looking at them closely, thinking about the shapes of the mouth and trying to copy that. That's really it there. What I want to do in future is start doing some videos which are showing you these basic sounds in English so you have a good model to copy. But that's something I plan on doing in the future and we'll talk more about that at the end of the video. So that's the first thing that the examiner is listening for, the basic sounds of English. This isn't the only thing. There are other parts of pronunciation that are important, and they get slightly more complex. The second thing the examiner is listening for is word stress. This basically means that when you have one word in English that has more than one sound, so more than one syllable, you're going to have to stress one sound and unstress another sound. Now, it can be quite confusing, but again, it's just really about copying a native speaker. If I give a couple of examples here to make sure you understand. Let's think about the word focus. Now, this word has two syllables. Focus. Now, you'll notice here that the first sound is stressed, fo, and the second sound, the second syllable here, is unstressed, kus. I don't say focus. That would be very strange in English to do that. Sometimes when we're looking at English and reading English, we tend to stress every sound if we're not a native speaker of English. But this word focus, the first sound is stressed, the second sound is unstressed here. If we just look at another word as well, think about the word random. Random. Now, again, we're stressing the first sound and unstressing the second sound. We won't say random. That would be, again, very strange to do in English. So we're unstressing that final sound. It's dum, not dom. So random, random. Things like this can be quite confusing, but again, it's just about copying native speakers. And again, it gets a bit more difficult when we're looking at words which are longer with many syllables. And there'll be some sounds that are stressed and some sounds that are unstressed within the word. So that's the second thing that the examiner is listening for, that you understand word stress. And that you can use it effectively, and the examiner can understand these words that you're saying. The next thing, and again this gets again a little bit more difficult, is sentence stress. Now the idea of this is that when a native speaker will say a whole sentence, there'll be some words within the sentence that are stressed and some words that are unstressed. Usually we stress the key words in a sentence that affect the meaning of the sentence a lot and need to be communicated. Let me give you an example of a short sentence here and demonstrate the stressed and unstressed words. If we have this sentence, I like to go to the market. I like to go to the market. You notice here some of the words are stressed and some are unstressed. The key words like I and the verb like are stressed. The word go is stressed and the word market is stressed. But the prepositions and articles are actually unstressed here. To and the will not be stressed. I would not say, I like to go to the market. That would be stressing every word in the sentence. But if you listen carefully, when I say this sentence naturally, I like to go to the market. To changes to t, and the changes to the. Okay, I like to go to the market. I like to go to the market. So some words in the sentence are stressed and some words are unstressed. Again, consciously thinking about this when you're speaking is a bad idea, but trying to imitate the sentence stress of native speakers is a good idea to work on and develop. It's something that is important in the test. Now the final thing, and this again, we're going a step up again to something a bit more complex, is your intonation. Now, this is the way you're using tone in your voice to emphasize meaning and kind of put emotion into your speaking. If we have no intonation, it's quite boring to listen to someone speak in a very monotone voice. And also, it can lack meaning. By adding intonation, we can add meaning to something. Also, of course, when you're doing things like asking questions, you're going to have a rising tone at the end of the question. Things like this are difficult to try to improve, but again, it's all about copying, imitation, listening a lot to native speakers speaking English and trying to speak in the same way as them. But again, don't worry too much about accent. As long as you're focusing on improving the basic sounds of English and copying native speakers, your pronunciation will improve, and gradually you might lose a bit of your accent and develop a kind of clear way of speaking. But that really is the most important thing when you're in the IELTS speaking test. It's that you're speaking clearly so the examiner can understand you. And if your accent doesn't affect the examiner's understanding of you, then you should get a good enough score. But really, what you've got to do here is practice, practice, practice. Now, this is why in future, I want to start posting some videos that focus just on pronunciation and giving you some good examples to copy and work on your own pronunciation. At the moment, I'm just uploading one video a week, but what I want to start doing is uploading 2 videos a week, and one of them will just be focused on pronunciation. So we'll have a nice series on the different sounds of English, word stress, sentence stress, and intonation, and we can think about it in a bit more detail. Also, I have had a lot of requests recently for some different topics for future videos, and I just want to let you know that I am working on them and they will be coming out soon. But it does take a lot of time and planning to get them done, so please be patient with me. But as well, I do appreciate the requests, so if there's anything that you kind of want to think about and hear in the videos, then do let me know in the comments section below. But I think that's it for this week. Hopefully that's helped you to understand a bit more about how the examiner is listening to your pronunciation to give you your overall band score on pronunciation. And hopefully it motivates you a bit to work on that pronunciation and realize how important it is, not just for the IELTS speaking test, but for life in general. If you're going to go to a country where you need to use English in the future, the pronunciation is such an important part of speech. It doesn't matter how much grammar or vocabulary you know. If you pronounce something incorrectly, then it means that someone probably isn't going to understand you, or they're going to find it difficult to communicate with you. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, guys, and again, don't forget, if you did find the video useful, do click like, and don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this in the future that are working on pronunciation and also other topics connected with the IELTS test, then do click subscribe. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you again in the next video.